5 years, we've been supporting climate entrepreneurs and ventures here at Tech. We've had the opportunity to work with some corporate partners such as the Heineken Green Challenge and the Cygnus Challenge. So shout out to those companies who have kind of stuck with us and kept on believing in these projects and supporting these entrepreneurs. As you heard from Paola, Tech is also part of the Race to Zero initiative for universities and colleges. So we've pledged to go carbon neutral by 2040, and we're also working on these whole initiatives in order to bring climate education both in and outside of the classrooms. And it's definitely been during these last couple of years where we've seen a shift in how the Latin American entrepreneurship ecosystem is reacting to the climate crisis. And we're thrilled to have more and more people, accelerators, funds joining in, and also meeting those of you who have been working for so many years and felt kind of lonely. I think the number of people in this room proves that the community is growing. So we're thrilled to have you here. For the next set of talks, we wanted to showcase a couple of different key players who are supporting climate ventures and climate entrepreneurs through a different and a very wide range of initiatives. So please help me in welcoming to the stage Maria Atuesta from 100 Plus Accelerators. We'll also have Santiago Mejia from Ashoka, Tania Rodriguez from Co-Capital, and Adriane Caballero from SP Ventures. So I don't know if Maria, you're here. It's going to be in a lightning round format, so each one of them will have 10 minutes to talk about, their initiatives and what they're currently working on.
Hola, there we go. So, hello everyone. My name is Maria Atuesta, and my second last name is Regalara. So they were missing my first last name in the presentation. I'm the sustainability manager for ABIMBEF here in Mexico is Grupo Modelo. And I lead all the projects related to water stewardship, smart agriculture, and the 100 Plus Accelerator I implemented in that zone of Middle Americas. It goes from Mexico, Caribbean, Central America, Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador. So today I'm going to present you the 100 Plus Accelerator. That's a global initiative we have in AB InBev for, to speed up the transition, the green transition of global companies and supply chains. So I don't know if I have a presentation, if we can go to the next slide. Yeah, there we go. A little bit of history. In 2018, AB InBev launched its 2025 sustainability goals. And we knew back then that they were very ambitious and we couldn't do it alone. And we had to partner with very creative minds, with startups to achieve our goals. And in this way, the 100 Plus Accelerator was born within AB InBev to encourage these startups to find key solutions for these challenges that global corporations have. So it's an opportunity was built for them to test and to validate on our supply chain and in our operation their solutions. And if they're successful, then we can scale them up globally, and then they can be suppliers and partners of other companies and find investment all around the world. And this program is also, in addition, we have a mentorship program to strengthen these startups and to allow them to grow. And that's how it was just created, 2018, 2019, we had our first cohort. I remember, I'm from Colombia, so I remember we had a winner from Colombia that's called EW Tech. They had a solution that replaced caustic soda that we use for cleaning our operation, and with a solution that only used water, electricity, and salt. And it had a great impact in the reduction of water, of energy, and chemical waste on our operation. We scale up the solution in Colombia in 2 of our breweries, and now EW Tech is one of the biggest partners Coca-Cola have around the world implementing this solution. So just that's an example of the first cohort. 2020, we had COVID. Even though we managed to accelerate 15 startups. And then we have 2021, a very important year for the 100 Plus Accelerator, because 3 new corporate members joined. So now it's not just InBev, but now we have Colgate Palmolive, Unilever, and Coca-Cola. All together, we're all members of the 100 Plus Accelerator. And we had the biggest cohort ever, 35 startups. We have a startup that won this cohort here in the room. It's going to pitch afterwards, so I am not going to spoil their pitch. It's called Toroto, a Mexican startup. And on 2022, this year, we opened for applications of the 4th cohort, and we had a great reception on a lot of applications. And we're going to choose the winner soon, the winners soon. So how does the 100 Plus Accelerator work? It all starts by defining the challenges, no? What are the priorities and the needs of all the supply chains of all the companies that we're now part of the 100 Plus Accelerator? We then publish these challenges and go and find and source solutions, no? And open the call for startups to provide solutions. We choose the winner startups and we do a kickoff and then plan what's going to be the pilot they're going to implement on our supply chain. What's very important here is that we give the startups $100,000 up to $100,000 equity free for making a pilot. It's just money for them to do a pilot and validate their solution and really prove the concept. And then the program, well, this is all a virtual program that around 6 months, and it has training in business negotiation. We have great partners for this. I will talk that later. And then the program just closes with what we call the demo day, or like a global pitch day, where the startups have the opportunity to pitch their solutions to global investors, to Shark Tanks, other corporate partners are interested. And we actually last week had our demo day. It was just and yeah, Toroto that's here, they had the opportunity to pitch. So this is the program, what's about. If we can move to the next slide. This is what the training is about. We partner with very good companies to give a very robust training and really strengthening the abilities of the startups. On financing, we partner with EY. We have a public speaking a partnership with TED as well. And marketing, Corona, that's the most recognized brand in the world, gives also mentorship on marketing and so on. If we can go to the next slide, please. And then we measure our impact on these 4 KPIs. The first one, well, yeah, if the solutions really are related to our progress on our challenges and our sustainability goals. Here we have a smart agriculture, water stewardship, circular economy, climate action, and we have more challenges now coming. The second one, and very important, because a sustainable solution is good for the people, it's good for the planet, but it must be good for the business as well. So we have to find cost savings, and we want that by 2025 we had at least $100 million in cost savings. Our third KPI is external investment. We want, that VCs invest in our startups, and we have raised more than $300 million. And last but not least, brand engagement. Very important that our brands engage with these startups. Here I have a good example of a winner of the second cohort that's called Asarasi. They saw that in the process of making maple syrup in the United States, there's a lot of good water and potable water that's wasted, and they partner with one of our most recognized craft beer brands in the U.S., Goose Island. I don't know if you have tasted. And now Goose Island is launching a special edition of beer made out of this maple syrup water. So that's a good example of how we can just partner with the startups with our brands. If we can go to the next slide, it's just a little bit of a recap. To the date, we have more than 3,000 applications, accelerated 70 startups in 29 countries around the world. And we have 3 cohorts, and we're planning to have our 4th this year. Some of the results of 2021, we had the biggest cohort, 35 startups that were accelerated. 18 of them are women-founded. And if you see, the challenge that's most popular always is circular packaging. Most of the startups are on solutions around this topic, but also we have some of climate action, water stewardship. We had 11 joint pilots between the corporate members of the 100 Plus Accelerator, which is something new and great to have. If we can move to the next one, it's about this year. We had 2 new challenges, biodiversity and inclusive growth, our normal challenge. And also we have 2 brands that are sponsoring some of the pilots. Corona is sponsoring pilots related to giving solutions of plastic, of removing plastic on supply chains. And Rexona is sponsoring pilots about inclusive growth. So also we have brands now involved on the 100 Plus Accelerator. And the results of our application, we have more than around 2,000 applications still a day that comes from all over the world, most of them from Africa, which is great. And again, circular economy is the most famous topic on giving solutions. And if we can just go to the next one, what's coming next? So we opened the applications on early March, closed them at the end of May, and now next step on August, we're going to announce the winners. In September, they're going to have the kickoff, where we're going to plan the pilot and have from then till May of the next year to do the pilot, and then we'll have again our demo day and the opportunity for them to pitch on June 2023. And last but not least, something that I really get sometimes, so why doesn't AP InBev have its own accelerator? Why join with other companies? Why is not 100 Plus Accelerator of AP InBev? And I think that the answer is that no company today can solve the challenges we have on sustainability alone. We must partner with other companies to really achieve this dream, and because it's more cost efficient, time efficient. Imagine if each company has to test all these solutions, the same solutions on their supply chain alone. Here we can just share solutions, save some time. For example, if we have a solution that can be tested in different ways. For example, we have a winner that has replaced plastic with these chemical-free solution that can be dissolved in water. We can just test it on Colgate and Unilever to replace the shampoo sachets, and then also test it in our supply chain to replace the shrink wrap that we use in our secondary packages. So I think it just gives us more opportunity collaborating and testing together. I don't know if at the end there's opportunity for questions, but I will be around for a while if you want to ask something. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're learning as we go. In-person things have other types of problems. Well, hello everyone. Great to be here. I'm so thankful that I don't have to worry about bad connection here. And it's a pleasure to also be another Colombian here presenting in this panel. I'm Santiago Mejia. I work at Ashoka leading the ecosystems initiative for Ashoka Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean. Also leading our efforts in planet and climate in the region. And in the specific program that I would like to share with all of you today called Regeneración. So before I go deep diving into the program that at Ashoka we are working on, what is Ashoka? Ashoka is a global NGO that works and operates in more than 90 countries that for over 40 years we have dedicated ourselves to searching, selecting, and promoting the most high impact social entrepreneurs around the world. Those crazy people that are really tackling the most pressing social initiatives and problems around the world, but in a really systemic way. How they are impacting in so many ways through really innovative ways. Here in this summit, I'm really glad to see that we have some of our Ashoka fellows, some of the selected entrepreneurs being represented here from Ilume Mexico, Isla Urbana, and Algramo. So I'm going to show you everything that they have been doing, and not only that, what we have been learning from them throughout the years that we have been working. So just so we get a little bit of a scope of how our network is set up, we have selected more than 4,000 social entrepreneurs around the world through a very selective process that we really tackle them and make them have really tackling in insights about how they are innovating, what are the systemic problems they are tackling, how can they go a little bit further so that in 20 and 30 years we're not talking about climate change because it's already been resolved. So we have more than 4,000 social entrepreneurs tackling all types of work. We have more than 500 that are working specifically in planet and climate. And in Latin America specifically, we have selected more than 1,500. It's one of the largest continents with Ashoka fellows operating at this moment, in which more than 200 are from Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean alone. I want to show you guys what we've learned over the years. And one of it is I want to show you how the selection of planet and climate social entrepreneurs has been trending in the last couple of years. If we see right there, during the first decade of the 2000s, there was a lot of innovators working in planet and climate. It was the time that Algramo came to be, where Isla Urbana also started working. There was so much that we were doing. But if we start seeing how it's been progressing, we've been strong the last couple of years, but the pandemic hit and it went straight down, no? Everyone was struggling and focusing on health, and that's good. We're adapting to our context. But what we did in Ashoka is that we started using this opportunity to study even closer where innovation is in our social entrepreneurs. And that number is not only the pandemic. We're struggling to select social entrepreneurs in planet and climate. Don't get me wrong, we get hundreds of candidates every year that are working for climate change. But the number that are really passing through our selection process is getting thinner and thinner by the year. Why is that? If we have so many innovators, what is happening? And part of it is the pathways of their innovation. Sometimes we confuse innovation with the tools that we use, inventing and inventing and inventing. Well, the inventions are already out there. If we see solar panels, we have so great initiatives that are making really low cost to go anywhere. But where is the problem? Well, part of it is we're not seeing, well, we do have a lot that are of our social entrepreneurs and planet and climate working in food and agriculture, working in policy, working in over sustainability, but there's a necessity to start seeing the intersectionality that planet and climate has with other sectors. What is the intersectionality of climate change with health, or with gender, or with longevity, or for technology for change? That's where the innovation starts coming in. We cannot keep on thinking that we have to work in silos in our topics, in our world. Climate change is not only for planet and climate entrepreneurs, it's connected to a lot of other topics that are really important at our time. We started interviewing all our social entrepreneurs, and they told us, well, they didn't tell us this, but they told us that the gaps in planet and climate initiatives and social entrepreneurship is that we need to decentralize decision making. We cannot keep on thinking that just working with government is the key. We have to work with also enterprises, with other NGOs, we have to get everyone in the table to really go deep down. We have the solutions. They're already out there. Let's use them. And I keep on seeing this topic coming one, and also in all this summit, of collaboration as the key to really resolving this climate change problem. How do we equip the workforce that are in our enterprise for green jobs? I can share all of this with you, with anyone interested in the future, but I just wanted you to have a scope of, here are the gaps. So what are we going to do with it? Just so you get an example of how Ashoka is seeing innovation and how the type of Ashoka fellows that are working on. I could have given you all the entrepreneurs that are here, but I want to not spoil the fun. For example, Brent Smith, who works in the US, has an initiative called Greenwave. He created a tool, a 3D farming, sea farming, farming initiative that helps not create pens for the animals, really being sustainable and regenerative, which is something that one of the panelists from the last panel was talking about, which is so important. But the key of his systemic change in how we are working seafood is not only that he created a tool that he uses in his organization, but he created a network of over 100 farmers around the US that are using his open source technology or type of farming workplace to really expand and scale. That's the word, scale. Through network, that's the way we are going to do this. So right now, he is really also working with government officials. I wouldn't be surprised if the Gulf of Mexico, through Mexico, Central America, starts working these types of initiatives throughout other countries. In the Mediterranean, he's already working with policymakers in Italy and Spain to have this work as part of how seafood is grown worldwide. So yeah, we're learning. And that's what we do at Ashoka. We learn and do what I'm doing right now, sharing these insights to make better decision in how to empower social entrepreneurs to really change the system on how we're working different topics like climate change. But we cannot just stay there. We have to go the next step. We have to give the tools. We have to search for more innovators. They're everywhere. We just need to find them. So Ashoka has launched, well, this is kind of a sneak peek. It's going to launch this month a program called Regeneración, which is an open call for any high impact innovators that are working in planet and climate and around the region, and we are going to have an accelerator that equips them with the notion of systemic change, equip them with how to work more cross-sector collaboration, and how do we really rethink innovation, not by tools, but about the process. How are we going to do this? First of all, we find the necessity to visualize. Our open call is not going to be easy. We have the goal of trying to find innovators from all more than 30 states of Mexico and Central America. We are trying to have more women on board in planet and climate. Sadly, most of climate and change social entrepreneurs that are Ashoka Fellows are men. We have to see how we re-engage new narratives around that. So we have the key objectives to visualize them, recognize them. We've seen how to just say you're a Ashoka Fellow. It can open so many doors and conversations and have recognition that social entrepreneurs are key pillars and social actors that have to be part of the table when we are starting to think about the future of different topics. But it has to go more than that. We have to equip them with innovation tools to keep on innovating and growing and scaling, and not being in just in direct and indirect service, but how do we go to mindset shifts around across the board. So we're going to have a 2-week online boot camp for that, for more than 50 entrepreneurs that are going to be selected. And if you go the next mile, you're going to be selected and be one of the top 10 innovators that are not just going to be representing social entrepreneurs around the country and the region, but you guys are going to representing as leaders of planet and climate in all the conversations. So we're going to have a summit or an exchange that tries to create or reinforce this network of systemic leaders that are working planet and climate. This third part is, for me, the most important, because we all are part of a community. The social entrepreneurs tell us one time and one time again, when we are selected in all these communities that are formed, we recognize that we are not alone, that we create spaces for mutual help, apoyo mutuo, that can really help us scale. It gives us the confidence and the ideas and the places to grow together as a community and not work in our silos. So I love when these types of programs come, because that's the sense of community that has to come out of this. So this is not an easy task. With this, I'm going to leave it and move on to other initiatives. But I just want to say that this is not an easy task, but we have the help of more than 50 connectors around Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean that are going to help us through their knowledge of systems change to find new innovators. We have the help of experts from around Ashoka that help us understand how to nurture innovators to their fullest potential. And we're also constantly learning. And we are at Ashoka don't have all the answers. So these spaces are great to learn from all of you to where these innovators are and how we can help them in the best way ever, especially for planet and climate. So I'll leave with that. And I just want to say that, well, change makers are everywhere. Social innovators that are changing the systems are everywhere. If we know where to look for them, and well, that's what we're doing. Ashoka knows where, and I'll be here all day also. If there are any innovators that want to come forward, we'll be here. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for the invitation to Dallas. I'm very happy to be here, especially discussing specifically one of the challenges that we think that is one of the most important challenges in our generation, that is climate change. I'm part of SP Ventures. We are a fund specialized in investing in companies doing technology specifically for the ag and food chain. I think we all agree and listen this morning a little bit about how the system is broken sometimes, right? And the objective for us is to really find those entrepreneurs that are really specifically working on those issues. I'm happy to be here at Tec de Monterrey. This is my alma mater. And the first time that I had an experience working with agriculture, it was here specifically. I used to work in the business incubator at Tec de Monterrey in Ciudad de Mexico, in Mexico City. And we used to work specifically with growers. And we did a fantastic project where we were the first ones to bring the first organic product into Carrefour. It was a long time ago. We sat specifically with Carrefour at that time, the growers for Mipalta that used to have organic cactus. And it was just that connection that kind of like always ignited me the interesting piece of agriculture. I was absolutely passionate. Then I went to capital markets, and since then I had been, my career has been always a mix between agriculture and capital markets. Now I'm investor and partner at this specific fund, and we believe that investing in technology in ag has an important piece And it's going to be really move the needle, and we have seen this firsthand, how these technologies are really moving the needle towards a much more sustainable agriculture, okay? But just to talk a little bit about the SP Ventures. I mean, SP Ventures, it's a fund that started around 10 years ago. We started as a generalist fund. And it was around 2015 that we discovered that half of the investments that we were doing, they were absolutely focused on ag. This is not necessarily any coincidence, right? In 2015 and 2016, it happened the biggest acquisition ever for a tech company from an agriculture company. It was the Climate Co acquisition from Monsanto. And this kind of like ignited absolutely the interest of founders, the interest of business guys, welcoming into, okay, what is in ag that we can do different? Okay, and from that, just like fast forwarding, today we are the biggest fund in Latin America. We have an active fund investing around 70 million in LATAM. We have some investments specifically in Brazil, in Argentina. I'm very happy this week to announce our first investment in Mexico, Berker, that you will see now after this speech. You will see them in action. Why do we invest in them and why do we partner? As I say, I mean, we are absolutely focused on ag and food. Saying that, I mean, I'm just taking an example on why agriculture is important. And this is just the example of Brazil. And of course, this can be absolutely translated to Latin America. Specifically for Brazil, guys, agriculture is responsible for 25% of the internal product in Brazil. We are the biggest exporters of food in the world, exporters of soy, exporters of beef. Do you think in those conditions we cannot necessarily transform as well in exporters of technology? We have a very specific conditions in agriculture and tropical agriculture. So the local solutions that are being built specifically for these regions are very important. The same happened for Mexico. Mexico is responsible around 4, 5, even it has been said that it's almost 10% when you're enlarging the full food chain, right? So we really need to look into this in a different way. And why we need to look into a different way? I mean, years ago, we used to be importers of food. Now we are exporters of food. And it is expected that LATAM is going to be the barn, right? Specifically, we're going to be responsible for the food security of the world. The world is in crisis, of course, yes, but that has a price. Everybody knows this price, right? 70% of the fresh water 70% of fresh water goes directly into agriculture. And this goes, of course, the uses of land, the uses of soil. So we have to be very smart on how to use, how to produce. And that's what we specifically put our focus in our investment thesis. Our investment thesis, it's aligned specifically with the challenges that climate has. We are seeing specifically that FAO, right? It says, in 2018, agriculture was responsible for 9.3 billion tons of greenhouse emissions globally. These numbers skyrocket today, and they were 16 tons, that is around 10% of the greenhouse emissions globally, come directly from agriculture. But agriculture is not necessarily the villain of this. I mean, the solution is still inside of agriculture. So changing practices, using technology in a different way, we believe that we can definitely transform this in a much more sustainable agriculture as well. Right. Deforestation is the biggest aggressor in agriculture, right? Of course, we need to produce more, we need to deforestate. This is not the answer, right? We can use the land in a different way. We can produce in a higher yields, we can reduce the impact specifically on soil, reducing the use of chemicals, for example. I've seen firsthand the use of algorithms predicting specific diseases and so in a way that, okay, if we really need to use, if we really need to reduce specifically inputs, there's not going to be other way but investing in agriculture. So our investment strategy is very broad. Bless you. Our investment, bless you. Our investment thesis, guys, goes directly from the biotech, from the science, right? We gather with many scientists specifically to understand what are the challenges that the agriculture has, and we're investing specifically in biotech. A lot on new hormones. We are investing in new crops. We are investing specifically. This biotech vertical has the potential to increase yield, to reduce specifically the appearance of diseases, specifically on different plants, and the use of biologicals. Biologicals specifically across Latin America is growing a lot. In Brazil, specifically, going back to Brazil, if we look into crops, for example, sugarcane, 50% of the usage already comes directly from biologicals. Biologicals are natural sources of reducing pests and diseases in the plants. So this, of course, needs to be brought, right? And really arrive into different countries. Second vertical that we invest a lot are ag digital. This is exactly the vertical where we see the data happening, right? We were discussing, okay, it is very interesting for the consumer to get information. Of course, the consumer is changing. The consumer wants to know where the coffee comes from. They want to know exactly where the avocado toast and the grower from that avocado is coming from. That specific information, we're only having it if we digitalize the field. And that's exactly what we're doing specifically in ag. But one point that is really important is not only about digitizing, it's also bringing finance and credit and enabling specific credit to growers. Growers specifically are considered, if you're a grower, sometimes in some places in Latin America, it's a definition of poverty. This cannot happen. These people are the people that are growing our food. These people are the ones that are really responsible for the food security of the country. We really need to think in a different ways. So we're investing a lot specifically on fintechs. We're investing a lot specifically on digitizing the field. And this is something that is very important to notice. Agriculture is not necessarily new to technology. Technology has been part of agriculture from the beginning of times. Okay? The digitalization of agriculture is what is really changing at this time. The use of internet on the field, right? And the way that the growers are, of course, using that technology is also very important. And final, the last vertical that we invest a lot is on food tech. This is definitely the cherry on the cake. Is what really bring us together to consumers. This is a whole change, guys. And it was really important yesterday. I saw, for example, a friend of mine being appointed the lead guy of agriculture, regeneration agriculture at Nestlé. Nestlé is today looking into different ways to connect to agriculture. This is no longer a way to keep us apart, right? This is a way to bring us together, specifically in a whole system. And I've seen a lot of faces here that I know that I'm very happy to review. Specifically, something that is important also to notice, and something that we always tell our investors, the resilient part of agriculture as an investment class. And we cannot necessarily give the back to saying that agriculture in Latin America was kind of responsible to keep the economy together in certain regions, right? And when we invest specifically in agritech, that's exactly what we're doing. This is an asset class that is top notch and is specifically working towards also to reducing the greenhouse emissions globally. With that, guys, I'm just going to have a quick example of the type of companies that we invest. This is an example that I like a lot. This is Moss. It's a Brazilian company. They just start doing they pretty much took the carbon credits from the Amazon, they put it in a crypto, and they are selling it today to regular people, right? This is a way for a person, normal person, not necessarily corporations, to have access and protect the Amazon in a different way. In this way, we protect the Amazon, we reduce deforestation, and we're not necessarily longer kind of like backing towards pulling back to deforestation into the country. Okay. With that, guys, I'm going to leave my contact here. You will hear a little bit about Vercor, the first investment. Thank you, Maria, for your presentation. It was fantastic. Thank you as well to Ashoka. I think we have seen certain entrepreneurs together, and we have many common. Exactly. Yeah. So we have Vercor there. That is also one of the winners, and that you're gonna hear it a little bit later. So happy to discuss with you guys. I'm gonna be here around in the coffee, and happy probably to have a discussion and conversation around this. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm going to stick here. I've been standing and sitting for a while, so there you go. Pleasure to be here again. I think one of the key messages and thank you for Dallas for organizing this, but this is a topic that we cannot do alone. Anyone cannot do alone, so it's just a pleasure to connect and re-meet with all the people that are involved in climate change strategies in different regions. So I'm CEO and founder of CO, an organization that really believes in reshifting the economy, reshifting hearts and minds towards this subject. And I think different to the rest of the crowd here, we mostly work with families, enterprise families in the region and also worldwide now. So I think I wanted to bring in sort of a perspective of what business families are getting engaged in and how they're responding to the challenges that we're facing in the coming years. Co-started as an NGO. We have accelerated together with so basically our model was bringing incubators, accelerators, and capacity building programs to the region, to Mexico and Latin America. We've financed, supported, and sort of helped start and jumpstart these organizations in the region that you might know of. And more recently, we see that the gap or the need for our work was more connected to building a community of aligned investors globally and regionally. So that's where our focus is. We're now, I think, to the subject of this conversation, I would highlight CREO. It's a fantastic community of families worldwide investing very actively in climate change. I would say, whenever I go to their meetings, I come out excited because I see a ray of light. Collectively, we're investing $5 billion into these topics in different strategies that maybe we can talk about in some other time with more detail. And in our organization, we have four arms now. One is the NGO that still works in bringing these organizations to the country and helping them launch in offering services to that. Collectively, through these organizations, we've accelerated more than 1,000 companies that are working in the region. So that's exciting. That keeps on happening. And I have seen firsthand sort of the emergence of this very now buoyant and powerful ecosystem in Latin America. So that's just has been wonderful. In Co-Capital, we have now 3 funds, one focused in the nexus between poverty and climate change in Latin America, and I'll talk more about that. One in global climate change, and one specifically for the Mar de Cortés or Golfo de California. And we also have Co360 that helps companies that we believe can have significant impact in climate change transform their practices into that direction. So that's a little bit about us. And this is our aim for the funds that we're working in now. And so we have a double strategy. We invest in funds. So I definitely want to talk to a few of the people that I've met. We also invest in directs by these funds. So this is the aim target that we're aiming for up to 2050. We are investing alongside, so this is the strategy for global climate change. We are basing our strategy on Project Drawdown. We work alongside those guys. And we don't want to reinvent the wheel. These are the targets and verticals that we're investing in. So I think there's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of work being done within that community in terms of systems change and how these verticals connect to each other. Where are the key leverage points alongside these verticals, and how can we start measuring significantly systems change alongside these topics? So this is also very exciting for us. We're part of a group called TransCap Initiative globally that is pushing the boundary there and how those frameworks emerge. And so anybody that's working and geeking out there, happy to talk to you and learn together. So with a global climate change strategy, we are going for the sort of pioneering technologies of the world, also in redefining what we eat in food and ag and land regeneration strategies. And there I would say that again, part of what we're trying to achieve there is learning from top funds that we're investing in and hopefully bringing some of that technology to the region. We think that sort of crossover of learning has been tremendously successful in our past, and we still believe that is a way forward. So crossover knowledge between startups and investors, both worldwide and in the region. So we're investing alongside these guys with tremendous push, with significant commitment to risk and to changing the way things are done. And this community is growing, and it's putting and doubling down on climate commitments. I would say not enough still. So hopefully we will grow the community of people that are investing in this way. And on the regional focus, and I think this is one of the exciting, there's a report on that Jonathan Foley just published with Project Drawdown that works and sort of gives evidence of the nexus between climate change and poverty. We believe that this is not being addressed a lot. It's sort of the climate change crowd and then the poverty crowd. So we're trying to cross over strategies into how that can work and how those strategies can be successfully scaled. And so this is where specifically, and you should read the report if of interest, but this is specifically the topics that we're looking to address and the companies that we're currently investing in through our regional fund. And here on the social aspect of impact, and we're sort of impact measurement geeks, I guess, but there's a lot of debate about what do we mean by impact. I think climate change has it easier, and the fact that we can very simply talk about gigatons of emissions and carbon capture strategies. When you're talking about poverty, I think it's a different story, and there's still a lot of discussion. Our take on that, and most of our investments go towards investing in productive assets. We believe that is a significant way out of poverty, so we definitely give more rating to the companies that are passing ownership to local communities and to our essentially clients, right? So different from bettering conditions or connecting to value chain. All that work is significant, but essentially we are trying to push on ownership or community exit strategies in the region. And on the regeneration side, definitely not the same when investing in regeneration than adaptation and mitigation. So our fund is an impact first fund. We take that very seriously, and we are trying to get more performance metrics from the ground and having the voices heard. I think, you know, one other topic that I would leave here is how we as investors actually make sure that the impact is happening on the ground, and how are we accountable for that. So third-party verification, getting voices from the ground, I think is significant to really bring those voices to these spaces, because often or not, it just stays here in the conversation. So we need to bring voices from the ground to these spaces. And from that strategy, there's a lot of companies that we've been talking to that are here, so I'm excited to connect. I haven't personally connected with you guys, but my team has, so happy to reconnect if possible. And this is why I put the names up, because then it's easy. But we also see a huge emergence of talent and capacity in the region that we didn't see when we first started. I think it was mostly Ashoka. We're oldies but goodies, and working in Mexico, and now it's exploded. So I would also say that is one of the reasons that getting entrepreneurs into programs is more difficult, because the explosion of incubators and accelerators is huge. So that's also, I guess, positive in a way. You know, happy to, I thought I had 5 minutes, so I put just a few slides, but happy to talk to anyone interested in the subject, and thank you for the space today.